Funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on the Evil Epi Network YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in IE Newswire on those social media platforms. Man, oh man, what a day. Get more in depth in the Corey Jackson. Flock cameras hits everywhere from the District of Criminals in Washington, D.C. to Ron DeSantis to everywhere people are going, what the blank is going on? We don't want a surveillance state in our communities. We'll have Susan Shirley and much, much more, as we usually do at the bottom of the hour when we join the Mighty Red KMAT. But lead story of the day. The Gold Cup kicks off at Chico, California. 3 days worth of massive sprint car racing up there at Kyle Larson and Brad Sweet's facility up there. You see the upside down. This was a nasty. Steel Powell took a nasty ride there. Let's see. Ta-da. If it will play. Here we go.
We'll have a replay coming up for those at home watching. And yeah, just he got upside big time. Catapulted up into those foam blocks. Here's the vantage point that'll be good. Oh, he got up over a right rear tire. That's what happened. So, yeah, you can see the replay on the big screen right in front of you here in the grandstand and also at home. Oh, look at that shot, the speed camera shot.
Man, that was a pretty nasty ride to kick off from Steel Powell, to kick off this wild flip at Silver Dollar Speedway at the Gold Cup. Going on up there. We'll get the last couple laps. Justin Sanders pretty much dominated after taking over from Max Mitri. Let's get to the last couple of laps. Here we go.
But with 10 to go, Justin Sanders made his move, and he will win the John and Robbie Pageant Classic, night one of the Gold Cup. He'll be followed by Max Mitri. And
there you go. That was the first night. They got 2 more nights. The Gold Cup. Oskaloosa in Iowa. That's a hell of a racetrack. World Outlaw Late Models made their trip to the Corn Belt Showdown. Here we go.
To the inside of Birdie for the race lead. Off of corner number 2, Sorensen looking for his first outlaw win. Both of them are. They're Hoosier to turn number 3. Dustin Sorensen with a slider. And he'll take the...
Gotta hand it to the guys at Oski. No dust. On that Turbo, Tyler Erb takes the win. Hopefully, here we go.
World of Outlaws. He is gonna tame the Mahaska Monster. He wins here in Oskaloosa. Turbo, Tyler Erb.
Gonna be a great racing weekend. SmackDown's coming up for USAC sprint cars at the famed Kokomo Speedway. Maybe we'll have a little bit more on that tomorrow, and much, much more on... in the summertime, you're going to get a daily race report while you can enjoy it. Well, again, we'll get into deeper into the Corey Jackson story, the flock camera, Fandango, Nick Shirley in California, Susan Shelley, and much, much more on today's show. Yes, it is. Get into this whole flap, and we haven't delved. We've touched on it, but the whole breaking news. $6 million, Corey Jackson, our assembly member. K9 hating Corey Jackson. Now we're finding out the SBX project, which was uncovered right here on this show. On Paris Boulevard in Sunnymead. Paris Boulevard in Moreno Valley. Can't get that Sunnymead thing out of your head. That was $6 million down the tubes, but at least we got some real estate to show for it. He just earmarked himself $6 million, supposedly, out of the funds of California taxpayers into another nonprofit cart that he has founded. We saw this Inland Empire Community Foundation, i.e. Black Equity Fund, raises $6 million to sustain Black-led organizations. Indicates in there in 2023, Corey Jackson gave them $1 million. Where the hell is he getting that kind of money? Inquiring minds want to know. The great attorney from San Fran, Laura Powell, probably did the best in-depth story on this. Legislators' pet nonprofit just got $6 million in taxpayer money. Here's what it actually does. The California legislature earmarked $6 million for the Center Against Racism and Trauma. A small, 6 mil, a small Riverside County non-profit founded by Assemblyman Corey Jackson, who also personally presented the group with Nonprofit of the Year award last May. He claims the budget subcommittee, he chairs the budget subcommittee on human resources, which has influence over state spending in this area. Jackson formally withdrew from running CART when he took office, which may or may not resolve the question of whether there is unlawful conflict of interest. But it does nothing to answer the more basic questions: what California taxpayers are getting for their hard-earned dollars that are turned over to Corey Jackson at the threat of a gun. There it is, approved $6 million in the general fund one time to the Center Against Racism and Trauma, CART, to expand anti-racism programming and trauma recovery. There's little Mr. Corey and his little crew giving them the Nonprofit of the Year. From YouTube announcement to incorporated nonprofit, Jackson's nonprofit career goes back to high school when he became involved in an organization called Sigma Beta Xi and eventually rose to become its director. Now here's where, that is where he started, was when Moreno Valley Unified School District, otherwise known as the Crime Syndicate. It's about 2012 when he came in. Our then city manager, Henry Garcia, brought him in, got him on the traffic safety committee, and he got hooked up mentoring. I'll let you take that anywhere you want to go. Mentoring kids. Hurricane Louise, Joanne Martinez-Steffen, who devote for in city council here, Vicky Baca, and a lot of us were up there saying, holy crapiola, what the hell's going on? We tried to get reports, accountability, public records requests are blocked, or, oh, we can't find the records, or this is what they're doing. Who the hell are you mentoring? Because the kids' student achievement are going down in the crapper, even amongst that organization. In 2019, he announced CART's launch in a YouTube video, though at the time the organization appears only to have existed as an idea. No incorporation or anything till 2020, when the Black Lives Matter movement appears to have handed Jackson an opportunity. Oh, was it an opportunity? That's when he gets elected to the Riverside County Board of Education. In early 2021, fictitious name filing for the Center Against Racism and Trauma appeared under one long-dormant nonprofits called Positive Young People, which had been launched to provide HIV, There's some of the documents from Laura Powell. Why this number is significant in the 2021 is that's when then elected member Corey Jackson, countywide, as a member of the Riverside County Board of Education, goes to the Board of Supervisors of Riverside County and gets $3.9 million of ARPA funds, which means all of you in the other 49 states are paying too. $3.9 million to do, we're going to take care of foster youth and homeless and all this. We all know that's a failed project. Earlier this year, Riverside County had to take the project back and put $1.8 million into it, into a failing enterprise. Started by SBX, and Corey Jackson put this together in 2021 and got it passed by the county. The money. Only one CART tax filing is public, so the picture of the organization's finances is incomplete. Say it ain't so. Filing also contains inconsistencies. In any case, it shows revenue of $95K, organization's first year, then registered a few months later into the second fiscal year when he headed off to the assembly and revenue dropped to $57K. Then in year 3, when Jackson absconded in the legislature, the state budget suddenly included a $250,000 earmark to CART. What a stroke of luck. Every other source of revenue that year combined added up to a paltry $8,500. Filing shows that fiscal year of 2024, $45K was paid to in salary to new executive director Janice Roos, and $12,000 was spent on everything else. You just got $250,000. Single largest expense, $44K, went to CART's annual summit. That may not sound like an absorbent amount until you learn that it was nothing more than an in-person Zoom call. $44K on an in-person Zoom call. Or that's what Laura Powell's reporting. Past events read like the who's who of anti-racism grifters: Abraham Kende, Robin DiAngelo. Oh, we've got the famous book. Angela Davis, Dolores Herta, Carter's IRS filing claims the sessions are posted online afterward. But only 3 of 6 are actually available. One most recent, posted August 4th, racked up a grand total of 14 views. 14 views as of this writing, including my own. Even last year's event with Angela Davis, and I go back far enough to remember that crackpot, is still only in double digits. What CART says it does. Ruth's own description of CART's mission, posted on her LinkedIn, is hard to make sense of. The Center of Against Racism and Trauma, we are hyper-focused on the harm caused by racism in its myriad of forms. Racism hurts us all. Of course, we got to get into race baiting and Roy's an evil white hillbilly and all this other crap they've been pushing with the Black Lives Matter and all this other noise. We ran to you where Ruth may have some potential trouble, as the video shows, of possibly calling out, endorsing, criticizing candidates, which is Laura Powell's legal opinion, is a big no-no and against the law. CART's website lists 3 strategies it employs as creating systems of change, community action, and youth development and engagement. And you get the core objectives and all the other rigmarole. A local news article describes a week-long overnight youth camp CART ran in 2025. Complete with 17 kids posing alongside Jackson as proof it happened. The camp reportedly merged racial and equity training, Oakland-style organizing, and local artist sessions that turned passion. 17 kids. And we're turning passion into posters, spoken word, and interpretive dance. Oakland-style organizing. I don't know what that means, but it can't be good. There's the picture of the kids, as we say in Camp Corey. Camp Corey. The same article credits a CART program called Youth Power Collective as taking direct civic action by meeting with local elected officials, describes separate changers in leadership institute built around arts programming. Ruth also told the outlet the organization had done outreach for Proposition 50, Governor Newsom's gerrymandering measure. I wonder if SBX did any of that. Strangely, it can find no reports of these activities. The apparent political problem, there's a part of the summit that looks like it might be illegal. During the Zoom meeting, of course, we heard Ruth earlier talk about or criticizing Chad Bianco, which according to her is a big no-no, and in her legal opinion against the law. Janice Ruth's resume in running all this, or running a multi-million-dollar organization, according to Laura Powell, is sketchy, or well, there's Miss Ruth. According to tax filing, she earned 6 figures a year working as a full-time taxpayer-funded nonprofit, Parents Anonymous, and that period overlaps with her first year running CART. According to her LinkedIn, she took over in 2022 when Jackson departed from the assembly. So to recap, from late 2022 through 2023, Ruth supposedly held 2 full-time jobs, a position at a private education company, and a role with California Anti-Racism Alliance, all while single-handedly transforming a fledgling nonprofit into a success story. Impressive enough for the state to hand it $250,000. This woman's hard work is unbelievable. Even before getting into the extensive volunteer work, she claims one entry stands out as a role of co-worker, Charles A. Bibb's African American Museum, Cultural Center, and Black Arts, which she cited when the mayor gave her an award in 2021. I wonder who that mayor was. All sorts of that. Bottom line, perhaps the most telling detail is that the local news article quotes Ruth saying she keeps CART's work aligned with Jackson's legislative push. Well, we got to tune into this one. Here we go.
What lessons have you learned from both your successes and setbacks in advancing your legislative agenda? Okay.
You don't make me cry.
I don't want you crying, okay? but it is an opportunity to reach out and tell us what you need from us, right?
Mm-hmm.
What lessons have you learned from?
Looks like multi-millions of dollars in lessons. We'll definitely be following up on this story. There isn't many that have the complete story going on, but when we get to the part of how in the hell is it any sort of legal, and even if it's legal what they're doing, they are systematically taking the ethics that Dr. Corey Jackson and Dr. Roos and all these clowns with their, I believe, phony doctorates. I can guarantee you, the ethics classes that us old cranks used to take, they were completely different and the ethics you're seeing today, let's just rip off the frickin' taxpayers at every chance we get. And that's what this appears to be. Corey Jackson's, in my view, and I think the evidence is very clear, my opinion, has been ripping off the taxpayers for decades. With his mentoring program, started at Marina Valley Unified, with SBX, with his high school teacher, Ernest Roan IV, that started this, and he came up here with the Peden twins and Zawinga and all that, and we've tried to get the documents and been hidden and everything else for years. I had to dang near threaten to run around naked at the Riverside County Board of Supervisors, and they still would not stop the SBX project until it failed 2 years later after they were brought all the evidence and had to pour $1.6 million into it, taking it out of funds that were supposed to go to feed homeless kids. I don't know, like I said at the school board meeting Tuesday, when they refer to our kids multiple times as body counts. Body counts. Like they're casualties of war or just the casualties of a newly disastered area. And that's the same place where Corey Jackson got his start around 2012 at Marina Valley Unified School District. Here we are, $6 million down the freaking rat hole, it appears. I don't know how we've survived to this point. But more better start paying more attention to these elections and what's going on in their communities. School boards, city councils, county board of supervisors, water boards, sewer cleaning commissions, my favorite. I think they should all be named that because that's about the stink that comes out of these places. And the bottom line is they're just bleeding us dry. And that is for holy cow. I mean, again, like I said then, with the body counts and this and everything else, it's like how in the heck do we survive? How in the heck can we really survive this? I don't know. But we better start getting our ish together. Because as the old saying goes, after the fact is way, way, way too late. And I'm afraid we're getting down to that way, way, way too late part. Much too quickly. And it better not before it all crashes. And I mean, we're going to be in such a heap of trouble. We got a lot to do. And a lot of it, like I said, the reason this is happening is we all need to start looking in the mirror. Whatever we're doing, we're not doing it right. So let's figure out how we're going to...
20 seconds.
As Jesse said, we're join the Mighty Met KMET. We'll have Susan Shirley on. Get her thoughts on some of this. Much, much more on the rest of today's
3
show.
seconds. Here we go.
Today, IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Red 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire and the aforementioned AM band. Joining our vast video audience on the Evil FB Network YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in iNewsWire on the famed or infamous or hopefully going broke Meta. I doubt it. That $17 million settlement was something else. Do you think anything will change? I doubt it. Kids will probably figure out ways around that in less than 3 nanoseconds. But we talked about, we had the race report, humongous flip by Mr. Powell up at the Chico Gold Cup. He survived. His race car didn't. But, as we usually do, on a Wednesday, but it's Thursday, we have the famed editorial writer columnist for the Press Enterprise, San Bernardino Sun, Inland Daily Bulletin, Redlands Daily Facts, more important to me, Vice President of Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, Susan Shelley. Welcome to IE Newswire with Roy.
Thank you, Roy. Great to be with you.
So we'll start off with this whole flap fiasco story that broke last week of the latest in Assembly member, which is in my area, Moreno Valley, Paris, San Jacinto. Corey Jackson's latest, he earmarked himself $6 million out of the latest budget of the state of California, which means they pointed a gun at all of us, took $6 million out of our pocket, gave it to Corey Jackson or his associated or started nonprofits affiliated. Oh, we're working with you and getting your legislative agenda passed. Or we're working with you or whatever. Have we just gone... We've either gone stark raving mad or we don't care. But can you make any sense of this, Susan Shelley?
Yeah, sadly, there's too much money in government. It attracts people who like to, let's just say it, grift and take the money. And always, this is something that Elon Musk's team pointed out over and over again. These grifty things always have wonderful sounding names. It's save the something or, help the so-and-so. And really, there's no so-and-so being helped except the so-and-so who's running the thing and taking a huge salary. So they get these giant contracts. This is the grift of the nonprofits the government gives your money to do these wonderful purposes. And there's no follow-up. There's no oversight. It's very easy, apparently, to do this. There's a new story out about the homeless industrial complex and a guy who just grifted $10 million from the taxpayers of Los Angeles. So this is sadly not rare. And if Bill Asaley doesn't get here with some handcuffs pretty soon, I don't know if this state's going to survive.
Sadly, I think you're right with this whole thing on that because, man, I don't know. It's just something. I mean, you go every day. It's like I call them the crime syndicate. And everything else over at Moreno Valley Unified. They're referring to our kids as a body count.
Yeah.
I'm going like, I don't believe this. It's like it's not even happening at sometimes, but it is. And we go with all the stuff, and I mean, again, it's like, I don't know, it's just, sometimes... If I wasn't watching it in real time, I just wouldn't believe it, Susan.
It's so corrupt, and it's very disturbing because there's so many tax increases on the ballot all the time. And it's very discouraging when you see the money being wasted and then you get your ballot and they want more of it. It's very frustrating.
On top of that, it is. The other thing that broke was, don't tread on me. The tire fiasco that came up in California, where they're going to they're going to eliminate 70% of the tires. that we buy, and they're telling us it's gonna make it cheaper, and we all know that's total garbage, and it's gonna make it more. Again, and most people don't know this, but from my background, I'm very technical. They're going to be harder. The Dunlop guys said this. The Dunlop tire guy. They're going to be harder compound tires. They're going to make your car less safe because it's not going to corner as well. It's not going to stop as fast. It's absolutely the insane. Plus, I'm going through the numbers. Even the amount they're trying to claim that you might save in gas, it's more than potential going to eat it up just in the cost of the tires. Not only to that, the cost in human life, I believe, on this whole thing. It's absolute. Again, it's just like we're on a daily assault every day of stupidity in the state, Susan.
We absolutely are. And this particular governor, who I think is behind this scheme to resurrect this old law and try to impose this particular governor loves to be first. I think he was first with gay marriage in San Francisco as the mayor, and it got him launched as a politician, and he still craves that thrill from his youth of being first. So he wants to be first with tire regulations for fuel efficiency, which is bonkers. There's a reason nobody else has done this. And if you go back to the law that authorized this, first of all, the purpose was supposed to be energy security, because it was back in the OPEC days when we were worried about oil shocks before we knew that we had our own reserves in shale. That's how long ago this bill. It was signed by Gray Davis a week before the recall election. That's how old this law is. And the whole program of fuel efficient tires was supposed to be just for state vehicles. And then they decided they'd make it for all vehicles. It was supposed to be implemented by 2008, according to the law that was required to be implemented by 2008. Well, it wasn't. Does the implementation requirement mean nothing? Apparently it means nothing, because they just think they can run this thing whenever they want to with eternal authorization. And it's so bonkers. But the governor wanted to be first. He wants to say it's going to save people money on fuel. It's craziness. And honestly, I hope someone goes to court and challenges it if there's a basis to challenge it, because it's going to not just create standards that are optional for the consumer or labeling that the retailers have to put out to show you what the tires are in fuel efficiency. This is a flat mandate that the stores are not allowed to sell them anymore after 2029. So I don't know why they feel the need to use this level of force on the people of California, but I hope that it becomes an issue in the November election and people just say no more of this.
This dovetails into one of your columns this week, and you uncovered where this really started. One of your columns, decades later, Gray Davis is coming after your tires, Susan Shelley.
Exactly. The law was signed by Gray Davis, and then it was just moribund. It was just sitting in the drawer because they never did this. And all of a sudden, the California Energy Commission decides, we can do something to make tires more fuel efficient. We have authority to do this in the law. They went through all the lawyers. They went through all the consultants. They've got a 95-page staff report that it's written by all these people who are not tire experts. They're greenhouse gas emissions experts, and they're fuel efficiency experts, and they're everything else, but they don't know anything about tires. And it's just wrong for California to be constantly doing this and then to be bragging, we're first. How wonderful. It's not wonderful to be first on something that's blithering idiocy.
It's absolutely, insane. Another thing that broke today, I think, or yesterday, Gavin Newsom claims he didn't know a 5,000 bottle wine cellar was down in his house. And on top of that, he buys this mansion over in San Francisco for what, $3.5 million? 2 years later, he's putting it on the market for $7.5 million. Who? I know real estate's been pretty steady for the last couple of years. It hasn't went up much or down unless in California. His home's doubled in value in 2 years, and you didn't know you had a 5,000 bottle wine cellar. Criminy, I wouldn't even want to. I probably couldn't afford the electricity bill to keep that thing cool, Susan Shelley.
Well, I have not seen this story yet. You're
Oh,
ahead of me
God.
on this. I've been doing something
Yeah.
else today, and I did not see this story. He didn't know he had a wine cellar?
No, 5,000 bottle wine cellar. This thing is huge.
Now,
In
are we
his
talking
house,
about
in
his-
the one, yeah, he just put the Sacramento house up for sale for $7.5 million. The one he bought 2 years ago for $3.5. On top of that, somebody questioned him at one of his goofy press conferences, or it came out in a news article or report or something, and he goes, "Oh, I didn't even know it was in there." And you ought to see the picture of this thing. Your house is probably smaller than this wine cellar, Susan.
Well, this is very interesting. I don't know very much about wine cellars, but is that a taxable thing if you have a giant wine cellar in your house? Is there a personal property tax of some sort on that he evaded?
I would say if the billionaire, maybe that's why he's selling it, because he's afraid they're going to come after him with this new, if that billionaire's tax passes on the, I mean, nobody. On top of the $9 million or $10 million house over there in San Fran and all the stuff, and him and Jenny Poo, another one that we found out is working this nonprofit con, and then indoctrinating our kids in the whole tranny crap and all that. I mean, it just goes on and on, Susan.
Well, he might have a need for cash because they are under federal investigation, and he hired a very pricey law firm to represent him and his wife, and that could go for some time. And, I guess you can always open up a legal defense fund, and he probably wouldn't have any trouble raising money into that, but that doesn't look very good when you're trying to be the Democratic nominee for president in 2028. You launch your campaign with a legal defense fund. Now, when Rob Bonta, the attorney general, had to pay a lawyer, he used his campaign money. But I guess that's not an option for whatever reason for the Newsoms. Probably because it's Mrs. Newsom who's being investigated. that would be a crimp there, right there in the plan. So I would suspect that if he's selling one of those houses, it might be because he needs cash.
That's another, and amongst, I think the COVID con has really convinced them that the vast majority of people will just buy anything they say. Who in the heck would not know, in a house they've owned for 2 years and supposedly been living in, that it's got a 5,000 bottle wine cellar in it? Why would you even say that? I mean, even if you didn't, you look you sound absolutely stupid even saying that, Susan.
I can't think of any rational explanation for why he would not know. It's impossible that he would not know. He's in the wine business. How could he not know?
Yes!
And he has a wine cellar.
He's, oh yeah, look at all this money coming in from Plump Jack and the 10 other wineries he owns and everything else. Other thing I wanted to get your thoughts on is something that's been blowing up all across the country. And Josh Hawley's the latest one to come out. Ron DeSantis is questioning it. This whole flock camera, surveillance state, that's been going on all sorts. That's right here in Moreno Valley. Our mayor, Ulysses Cabrera, 2 years ago when and we're trying to figure out how we spent $3 million putting these flock cameras on, when 12 years ago we put cameras all over the place. We bought and paid for them 12 years ago. They're in our public safety. The cops can monitor everything. We give Flock this stuff for these license plate readers and monitors and everything else. I mean, I'm for law enforcement giving them the tools they need. We already had them. We didn't need to spend $3 million. Plus, our mayor went to work for Flock trying to sell these to others until he was in a meeting there, and apparently another man rubbed his leg up against him, and he was suing for sexual harassment and all that. And that case was settled. He's no longer working for them. But then, again, in 2 years, Flock went from hardly any cameras to almost all across the country. I'm suspicious of this whole thing, but what say you, Susan Shelley?
Well, I agree with you. Part of the problem is that they're collecting data, and who owns that data, and how is it stored, and is it secure, and who has access to it. In Los Angeles, they've raised this issue because in Los Angeles, they're very committed to protecting everybody who might be deported. So they don't want any license plate readers shared with the federal government. So they're renegotiating their flock contract to ensure that they keep the data private within the city. And that's their issue on it. But I do think that anytime a company is collecting data from people who are totally innocent, just because they can, and then there have been a number of mismatches where people were pulled over thinking, this is a stolen car. We thought we read this number, but they read the number wrong. The camera read the number wrong, moving vehicles and all the rest. So there have been mistakes, and people improperly detained temporarily for that. And it's disturbing. It's the surveillance state tied to law enforcement. This is not tied to a private security at a shopping mall, which is a whole different thing. This is law enforcement doing this, and that's got real implications for civil rights.
1000%. I mean, I was thinking, first, I didn't even realize that we're trying to find the documents of where the $3 million freaking came for. We can't even find this on the agenda in the city of Moreno Valley where we even paid for it. First they said, oh, the county paid for it. Riverside County saying, well, what the hell are you talking about, Willis? We have no idea what this stuff is. But now today, and then we're trying to find out of this whole stuff. Now this whole thing breaks out. Even Ron DeSantis, the Florida governor, was, he was questioning what's going on. He said the same thing. It's not necessarily, he's not for taking tools or giving away from law enforcement. He wants them to have what they need. But we don't need to turn this into a surveillance state where they're monitoring everything, everywhere we're going, anytime they want. It's being recorded because they're storing. It's just like your cell phone and everything you do on social media, emails. Somewhere it's stored somewhere. Somewhere somebody can pull this stuff up. That's why I tell everybody, I got legal advice that said, don't post anything, say anything in public that you don't want to come out in the public, because eventually it will, Susan Shelley.
Well, that's absolutely true. The best advice you could give someone who's like 11 years old and just getting started on social media, whatever age people get started, best advice you could give them is pretend it's a billboard in Times Square because everyone's going to see it one day and you don't want it to ruin your life. So yeah, it's very concerning. And the idea that the Fourth Amendment is tossed aside so lightly. I've been worried about this since we established the TSA. And all of a sudden, everybody's presumed guilty and can be searched without any probable cause. And Americans just tolerated it. And I got so angry. I was at an airport once watching people just shuffle along, just obediently shuffling along for hours in these lines. And I got so angry because it's not necessary. It's not even effective security. It doesn't test well. They miss a lot of stuff and they find stuff that's nothing and they bother people. And it really never should have been done this way. And I hope that one day Donald Trump will unwind that and go back to private security at the airports.
That gets me back to, and I say, they perfected a lot of this in the COVID con, but that was, coming out of 9/11, which will be the 15th or 25th anniversary or whatever it is, coming up here in a couple of days. But that was another thing in the TSA in the surveillance state, and a lot of us were back in the day saying, you don't want them to do this because once you give them one step, they're gonna, once they crack the dike, here comes the flood. Mm-hmm. Now we're down to this, and now they're turning the United States into a surveillance state that would have made Castro and Stalin and the crew just blush with envy on this stuff, Susan.
And you really have to wonder how much of this they're doing and not even telling us, because the data of the phone calls the NSC was collecting, they didn't tell us, it was leaked. And that's how we found out they were doing that. And I remember that during the COVID thing, the mayor of Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti, got mad that people were defying an order to stay home and off the hiking trails. And he went on television and he said, "We know who you are." And I thought to myself, Do you? Would you like to explain how you know who they are, who the people who are hiking? And obviously it was cell phone data. Where are they getting it? What do they have? Do they have the phone numbers? Do they have the names attached to the accounts? What do they have? And I thought that was very, very unsettling. We're going to declare an emergency and we're going to start collecting data on people without their knowledge to enforce our laws that we just made up yesterday in the emergency. Does everybody understand how dangerous that is to have that happen in the United States of America? We can't have that.
1,111%. I mean, there's a lot of things we got to fight on this front. I want to give you a couple minutes before we close out. Give them an update. Get everybody motivated. Yes on 43. Save Prop 13. Go.
Yes on 43. It's the best thing on the ballot. It is the Local Taxpayer Protection Act to save Prop 13, and it makes it harder to raise taxes. And you can get a yard sign delivered to you. You can get door hangers delivered to you. We will send you free campaign stuff to help you spread the word to your neighbors, your friends, your family. This is not a partisan issue. This is about taxes. This is about protecting Prop 13 so that local initiatives can't override it, which is what the courts have been allowing. And we're going to stop that cold. Yes on 43, make it harder to raise taxes. The website is yeson43.com.
And now tell them why they should join Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. Go.
Because HJTA is the organization fighting for you, and this is an example of it, fighting to protect you from higher taxes. HJTA.org is where you can sign up for the free email alerts. Lots of great stuff coming for the election. We'll be keeping you up to date on everything. And also, be a member of this great organization. It's only $15 a year. You strengthen your voice in California, which is really important because there's so many people working against you. It's nice to have somebody working for you, and that's the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association since 1978. It's a great organization. I'm proud to be affiliated with it. hjta.org. Join us.
Thanks for being on, Susan. We'll do this again next week.
Thanks so much, Roy.
Susan Shirley, Vice President of Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association and columnist extraordinaire for the Southern California News Group. Man, we're under assault every which way. And I didn't really think of that until it popped into my mind. It is going to be, September 11th here in a couple of weeks. It will be the 25th anniversary of 9/11. But yeah, that was one, the whole TSA, Homeland Security, and it sounded great. Oh, we're gonna protect you. Here we are, almost 25 years later, and they got cameras. Your smart TV spies on you. Your 3x5 screen spies on you. They're selling your information. They know. McDonald's had a 500-page dossier on one customer. We're systematically getting manipulated all over hell's half acre on this stuff. And we can still choose to stick our head in the sand. But it's too late when they're marching you into the gas chamber. And that, and you can bring up the Hitler in Germany in the 40s. But there's, the old adage, when Herman and Clyde got marched off, too bad. But when they came after me, there was nobody there. And you don't want to get to that point. Again, after the fact is 98.7% too late. Sometimes people wonder why I have such an effervescent public personality. Or sometimes it appears like I'm in people's faces out in the public sphere. But you got to push hard. Because your opposition is pushing harder. Just like Corey Jackson. I guarantee you his goal coming in when he came in here about 2010-12-ish was to run Moreno Valley Paris. He wanted to be the king, dictator, tyrant. And he's doing a darn good job of doing it. And that's because we as a community are allowing that to happen. We're allowing Gavin Newsom to roll us down. Oh, I didn't know I had a 5,000 bottle wine cellar in my house. Jeez, where did that come from? Never knew it was there. And TSA, COVID-Con, Black Lives Matters, flood the borders, the hell with the laws. They're convinced, and I think there's a lot of evidence to support that we are, as a community, as a collective, we are. Because there's pushback, but very little, and it's getting what's maybe more telling, frustrating, however you want to put it, to me at least, is we're getting less pushback every day. There's less of us doing it. Our voice, our force is not as loud. And we're getting overrun. It was only me and Hurricane Louise at the Crime Syndicate Tuesday. In a school district, Moreno Valley, with 30,000 students. Not one parent showed up for a school board meeting, at least that I saw. Not one. Totally amazing, at least from my perspective. That'll do it for this today. Oh, I was trying to know. Mandatory, you're back here on this Practice Friday in 23 hours. You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
Looks like I got something to work on.
Yeah, for some reason it was the picture. You saw it, but I mean, it was. I finally got it to at least work like that. But her side's working good.
Yeah.
And if you go back on YouTube, before she came in, before you logged in, it was fine. It was because she had come in on YouTube because I saw it. Like when I was doing the first half hour. Both our pictures were like the same size on YouTube coming in and that, because I could see her. She was coming. And I don't know why it was playing on the YouTube. It wasn't playing mine, but that's another thing you need to look at, because whenever she logged in, the YouTube page went to me and her on two separate pictures like you had it set up in here.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I kind of half-ass figured out how to patch it together, but yeah, it's gonna need some more work.
All right. I'll figure it out.
You got it.
How about